Welcome to Gametime. This is your host, Werit, and this is an experiment of mine. Basically, it's a podcast, but without any people other than me, and it's gonna be over some gameplay. I figure if I'm bored to listen to, it gives you something to watch. We'll see how this goes. It could fail miserably, or it could be interesting, I don't know. But I'm sure you'll let me know. So, I'm playing Fallen Earth here in the video. It's a new game. I've done a few videos about it lately, as you can see on the website. I'm not really sold on it 100% yet, but I'm getting close. With all those new games coming out in September, it's been a tough decision. You got Champions, Ion, Aeon, whatever you want to call it, and Fallen Earth. Oh, can't forget Dungeons & Dragons being released free. So it's been a tough choice. I'm still not sold which I'm going to get in September, but I know I'll just end up playing them all at one point or another. So what I like about Fallen Earth is it reminds me very much of Star Wars Galaxies pre-NGE. It was a huge wide open world. You didn't have classes, you had just a bunch of skills, and I don't remember anything what they did when I first started playing. It all felt so big and new. And it's just so many options. Fallen Earth is very similar. There's a number of skills. You're not forced to do anything, but you can try what you want. There's no story on rails that's going to force you along. Like, I just went out into the wasteland, and there's a bunch of spawns that I can just grind if I want. Or, like, here's a PvP area that I'm going into that has better resources, but I could also be attacked by anybody, including people in my own faction. Although, at this point I'm not in a faction, but in the future, when I am, they can still attack me, but they'll lose points. So it's got all that going for it, and it is nice not to be using like shields and swords and other fantasy stuff. Sometimes it's nice just to use a machine gun. Although, of course, I'm using a crossbow here, which really isn't modern, but so you get the point. So I'm going through this PvP area, just picking up like crafting items, and I found some weapons in them. The better things are called the supply crates, which are dropped in the PvP areas, and they'll give you better goods. So it'll definitely draw people in to the area, and when there's stuff people want, people are going to fight over it. I was actually in this area earlier, and someone else came wandering by. Now I was going to have some fun, so I brought out my little pump guns and started firing at him. Now he came in on a horse, so I'm betting he was higher level than me, and the nervous type I am, I was shooting from far away, so I wasn't even hitting the guy. But he saw me, and I guess he had a rifle, and 2 shots later I was dead. So it was just fun. I mean, I wasn't expecting to win. I probably wouldn't have killed him if I had the chance, but it's the kind of situations that can happen. Anyway, back to the Star Wars Galaxies comparison. Crafting is another big part of the game. Now, it's not really like Star Wars Galaxies, which I think had the best crafting ever, just because the type of materials you used actually made the product better or worse. I mean, that's pretty much the ultimate in crafting, I think, because if you go get the best materials, you can make the best stuff, and people want to buy from you. You can get a reputation for good quality, and it just adds a lot of gameplay. And the whole resource mechanic in Galaxies was great, where you had to go put down your harvester. So it added a whole nother basically game within a game of finding the minerals and the flora and all the other stuff. Crafting in Fallen Earth is different in a number of ways. First is in the whole harvesting aspect. Since it's the apocalypse, there's really no machinery or anything, no mining, so everything is gathered. And the second is all ingredients are equal. There's no special ingredients to make an item better. What one crafter makes, another crafter will make just as well. But the whole crafting system is just so huge in Fallen Earth. Everything is crafted. I mean, every item you can make, every item you can find, you can craft. but you can't find every item you can craft. So there are things that only crafters can make, but they're all able to be sold. And a great example of this is the vehicles later on in the game. You can get motorcycles, cars, dune buggies, but those can only be made by a crafter. The horses you can get from other places, but the vehicles are only made by a crafter. Speaking of the vehicles, one thing I found pretty neat about those were they run on gasoline, and if they run out of gas, they're stuck there. These aren't like in WoW where you just pack up your mount and your backpack. It'll be there until you get gas. I'm sure there's some kind of garbage collection system so you can't just clutter up the world with vehicles. But I always thought that was pretty neat. You have to keep it gassed up. Now, if you do run out of gas, you can go to a town and get them to tow it back, so you're not stuck. Or you could walk back with a gas can. Too bad you don't have to carry it. That'd be pretty funny. You see people walking along the road with gas cans. So that's just a little example of how the crafting works. The next big thing with Fallen Earth is the end game. Yes, the big mysterious end game. You know, raids and WoW and other things like that. Well, there really is no end game in Fallen Earth. There are no raids. Max level is a long way away. But the devs even said that it's not about rushing to the end. That's not why they made the game. They don't like doing it, and they don't want people doing it. It's more about exploring the game, trying different character builds, playing with crafting, doing world bosses, playing with other people, exploring the 6 factions, and all things like that. I mean, the game world is enormous, so there's plenty to do. Wow, I don't know if you're going to be able to get 200 hours a month out of it. How many of us really do anyway? We've been so trained to like the WoW endgame where we have all the levels is just training until we get to level 80 and then we have to raid. That's not what it's like here, and I think it's going to take some time for people to remember that gaming is not just about raiding or doing something over and over and over again. We should be able to have fun the whole way through. It should be about the journey and not about the end. So that's what I think Fallen Earth is really going for, is the journey. We'll see how it goes, though. I mean, I expect a lot of people to not like the game just for that reason, that there's no real direction. Like, get to 80 as soon as possible. That's just not how it works. So some people like it, some people won't. That's just how it goes. Now, Fallen Earth does have its problems, though. The game feels a little raw at times. Feels like it could use a little more work. Like, the animations aren't as tight as they could be. The UI could be a little better. Like, I always want to right-click on something, and in Fallen Earth, nothing happens. So it could be more intuitive. And overall, I think it just could use a little more maturity in its systems. Like, I'd love to have a collection system, an achievement system, a housing system. Although I should say that they've talked a lot about adding a housing system, so we may see that pretty soon after launch. I hope so. But most moves don't start off with everything, though, so that's why we're a little spoiled with playing games that have been in 5 years or 3 years. They have everything we want, but we can't really expect a new game to have everything. Otherwise, they would never release, and it just wouldn't make economic sense. So overall, I think Fallen Earth will be a good game, and I'm sure I'm going to get it at some point, whether or not at launch, who knows. But if you're looking for something different, you should probably keep your eyes on it, because it is different, and that's a good thing. Well, that ends this game time with Werit. Hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if this was a success or not, but I plan on doing another one, at least with Warhammer and maybe whatever else I'm playing. So I'll see you next time.